The Obama administration's response to the IRS scandal continues, and one of the talking points that they seem to be distributing to members of their administration is that inappropriate things went on, but nothing illegal went on. So why don't we watch this video? We've got Treasury Department Inspector General for Tax Administration, J. Russell George.
It's a terrible job title.
Yeah, it's a little bit too long. You're not going to get one of those little things in your desk with that.
Say it again.
The Treasury Department Inspector General for Tax Administration.
Oh.
Maybe that is a cool acronym.
Well, yeah, what is he? He's the TDI, the
TDIG.
He has a card.
He's the TDIG TA.
He has an accordion card.
Yeah, the TDIG TA.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk to him.
In your testimony, you had a section that is titled Results of Review, where you say the IRS used inappropriate criteria for identifying these organizations. Is that legal?
Is it legal? It is.
I'm trying to get a sense of what inappropriate criteria means.
It is not illegal, sir,
Okay.
but it was unusual.
So, and then you enumerate them. Inappropriate criteria were developed and stayed in place for a total of more than 18 months. Is that illegal?
It is not illegal, but it was inappropriate.
I understand that.
I love that because I thought at first, this is the first time I've seen the actual video and not just the transcript. I thought that our video had skipped. Is it illegal?
Right.
No. And we also have, by the way, the outgoing IRS chief, Stephen Miller, just recently was asked, would you say that it's illegal? And he said it is absolutely not illegal, but then goes on to say that inappropriate things did go on. So I don't know if this is going to be enough to get people off their backs about it. Like, it seems like a pretty weak response. I think it's an accurate response. I think this is exactly what did happen. Inappropriate things, but nothing illegal.
See, this is where I'm sorry. This is where I'm going to do a little role reversal with Michael. I'm always attacking the administration. Michael's always defending. I'm going to defend them on this one.
Not always defending, but often defending.
When we are disagreeing, I should say. Okay. I'm going to defend them on this one, except for their handling of it after the fact. Look, everybody knew that millionaires and billionaires and corporations were funneling money into the political process using cover organizations and tax deductions, using cover organizations that had names like Tea Party and Patriot and Tea Party Patriot and Patriotic Tea Party. So what is wrong with going through and scanning to make sure that organizations with those names aren't a front for money laundering in essence to corrupt the political process? My biggest criticism of the administration on this is that they've been so freaking apologetic. Just say, yeah, hey, Sheldon Adelson, these guys are, Dick Armey, and we used to say Beat Army in my day. See how bad things have gone. That Dick Armey and all these people, these operatives were gaming the system, and we wanted to look into it. Drop it, let it go, it's over.
Yeah, well, it's not as simple as dropping and letting it go because, regardless, and one thing to remember is the IRS has gone after liberal groups in the past, and only liberal groups in this period that the IRS is being investigated for right now, only liberal groups had been, and 3 of them were denied tax exemption. None of these, not one single group of these conservative groups was denied the tax exempt status.
They were just delayed.
They were delayed. It took too long, and they were disproportionately investigated. And so I sort of understand what these guys at the IRS are saying. What I would have done if I were the White House is I would have just pointed to a rogue office in Cincinnati that did all of this and said, this was a rogue office. But RJ, you talk about defending the administration, not defending the administration. I'm not so sure the IRS, I don't think the IRS is part of the administration. The IRS is an apolitical arm overseen by the U.S. government and the Treasury Department, to be specific. Harry Truman made it so that the actual executive branch had to jump through hoops to get rid of somebody who worked at the IRS because he wanted to put in regulations that made it, the civil service regulations, that made it apoliticized. So I think associating, my biggest problem with this is the way that people have associated this with the White House somehow. And so whatever you think of this, unseemly, inappropriate, illegal, which is different, I understand, but it's not the White House. The White House didn't do this, and that's the difference.
I think it's it's really fast. Sorry, I think it's really easy to sort of fool the American public into thinking that because this is part of the executive branch of government, he must have been involved. The American public, when it's convenient, think that the president has all sorts of powers that he does, and that's why it's so easy to tie him to a failing economy.
He runs the executive branch. What I'm curious about, he would be normally appointing the IRS commissioner. I'm curious to know 2 things about Steve Miller, which which number one is if he was acting commissioner, is this another, like the FHFA where they were blocking the appointment of the real guy?
Exactly.
And number two, why are rock and roll stars from the 70s now filling?
John does get that? No, it's not working.
He doesn't
might have been
get
a
it.
guitar hero
Wang
at one
Chung
point.
apparently is running the Department of Agriculture.
He's the Pompatus of tax. But
He doesn't get it.
No, you're not going to get that.
it.
He'll look
Yeah.
it up later, though, because
Yeah,
he's
I'll
John
look it up.
Iadarola. He'll get it, and they'll say, oh. But he's not going to have an easy time spelling Pompatus. What you're saying, though, RJ, is true. Like, with these, the idea that we're separate, maybe it was John who was saying it, that associating it with the president. Well, when you've had two presidents in a row, no, I'm not associating with the president, but you've had two presidents, like executive power. People think that the president has all this power. We've had two presidents in a row now that think they have a lot more power than they do. And this is part of that. This is a symptom of what happens when you do. You associate everything with the White House, and that's part of the political psyche now.
We've got one more video I want to play in regard to this. So earlier this week, we tried to put the IRS scandal in some historical perspective by showing the political use of the IRS during other past administrations, both Democrat and Republican. We've got a guest on Fox News who also wants to put it in historical perspective. This is Tom Zawistowski, who is the president of the Ohio Liberty Coalition. Let's hear what he says.
I've had literally major newspaper reporters apologize to me personally in the last 2 days and said, Tom, when you came out with this a year ago, it was so off the scale. I just couldn't believe it. And when the IRS traced out the IRS leader to Congress and he said there's no targeting of Tea Party members, they shut down. Now they're getting the documents and they're telling me this is worse than you said it was last year. These questions are unbelievable. This is Nazi Germany.
Just throw it in at the end of the sentence. Yeah, it sounds crazy.
Actually, he made a great point. Like in a sense, if I was a Tea Party representative, I'd be outraged. I mean, the outrage. The problem with it is that they're not social reform groups, and we know that. They're political action committees. It's all about politics. It's all about changing who's in Washington. So, he's full of shit when he says that stuff. But the other side of that is that, I would be, if I was targeted, because he thinks the liberal groups are doing the exact same thing, if I was targeted disproportionately, I'd be pissed. Nobody's ever won by saying Nazi Germany.